Okay, this is getting out of hand because I really thought that the Republicans and the GOP would come to their senses and condemn the absurdity and the conspiracies that the Trump party is spreading across the country. Just listen to what the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell had to say about Trump's illegitimate legal pursuit to try to steal the election back.
And President Trump is 100% within his rights to look into allegations of irregularities and weigh his legal options. If any major irregularities occurred this time of a magnitude that would affect the outcome, then every single American should want them to be brought to light. And if Democrats feel confident they have not occurred, they should have no reason to fear any extra scrutiny.
Mitch, it's not that the Democrats fear losing the election if you recount the ballots. Hell, you can recount them as many times as you want. What the Democrats are outraged about, as they should be, is the incessant, pathetic attempt by your Republican colleagues in the Senate, along with Fox News and other conservative political pundits, to destroy the confidence in our American elections by spreading these baseless allegations of voter fraud over and over again, drilling it into the brains of the American people, repeating it enough times so that eventually they start to believe it, even though there is zero evidence of any illegal ballots. And let me bring up another point. These ballots were the exact same ballots that elected or re-elected Republican senators to allow them and Mitch McConnell to keep the majority. So if these ballots are so quote-unquote fraudulent, because they are after all the same ballots, then why don't you investigate them? Oh right, because it's not about upholding the Constitution, it's about undermining democracy and not being able to come to terms with the fact that Joe Biden won, so instead you have to cheat your way into the presidency, which clearly is not working. Donald Trump is 0 for 7 thus far in his court cases, as he desperately fails to prosecute the Democrats for ballot harvesting, or sending ballots to dead people, because I know you guys like to claim that as one of your many ridiculous reasons why you believe this was an unfair and unjust election. And yet we have sitting senators like Ted Cruz continue to spread the lie.
Well, Sean, what we're saying tonight, what we've been saying the last 3 days is outrageous. It is partisan, it is political, and it is lawless. And we're seeing this pattern in Democratic city after Democratic city, but the worst in the country right now is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I am angry, and I think the American people are angry because by throwing the observers out, by clouding the vote counting in a shroud of darkness, they are setting the stage to potentially steal an election, not just from the president, but from the over 60 million people across this country who voted for him all across this country. It is lawless, and they need to follow the law.
This is on Fox News with Sean Hannity, a lying news anchor who continues to legitimize these claims of voter fraud over and over, hoping that something will stick. And yes, Fox News, the very news network that called the election for Joe Biden. Even the CEO of Fox, Rupert Murdoch, had the New York Post declare Biden as the president-elect. So even Fox News is splitting off into turmoil and chaos. So much so that just yesterday, Kayleigh McEnany took the stage and began to spew conservative propaganda that the Democrats were actively engaged in rigging the election for Joe Biden's favor. And right in the middle of her rant, the Fox News anchor had to cut her off.
You take these positions because you are welcoming fraud and you are welcoming illegal voting. Our position is clear. We want to protect the franchise of the American people. We want an honest, accurate, lawful count. We want maximum sunlight. We want maximum transparency. We want every legal vote to be counted, and we want every illegal vote to be...
I just think we have to be very clear. She's charging, the other side is welcoming fraud and welcoming illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue showing you this. I want to make sure that maybe they do have something to back that up, but that's an explosive charge to make.
So even Fox News doesn't know how to react to the Trumpism, because we know that their base of viewers is essentially Trump's base, but they also don't want to be undermining American democracy, which is great. And so now they too have to make a choice. Do they continue to support a Republican Party that is out for blood, or do they uphold the truth like this news anchor did yesterday and begin to call out the lies? Now, I'm not too optimistic about Fox. This is a one-off situation, because just 2 days ago, Laura Ingraham Ingram had the conspiracy theorist Dinesh D'Souza on, who spewed lie after lie about the Democratic Party, calling them tyrants, criminals, and just a bunch of nonsense.
Dinesh, the blacklist. I mean, you've been writing about this for decades. The left has always had one.
They have, and this is a tyrannical impulse. It's so ironic because they keep accusing Trump of being a tyrant, but ultimately, these are people who, if they had their wish, they would ostracize their opponents, they would have them fired from their jobs, they would have them digitally censored, and they cheer when that happens. And who knows, they might next be willing to imprison them.
First of all, yes. Of course we want them to be fired from their jobs. They are completely incompetent. Look at how they've handled coronavirus, amongst the other failures of the Trump administration. Secondly, big tech is censoring falsehoods, dangerous lies, and baseless claims that cause division and take away Americans' faith in their government, the Constitution, and of course, the election. And just look at the past tweets of Trump. They've all been marked as misinformation. But I'm spending too much time on D'Souza. Let's get back to McConnell and the senators, because this is a very important point. Similar to Fox News and how they're torn on whether or not they should feed their audience what they want or begin to be a legitimate news outlet, these senators are in the same situation. If they cross Trump, they know that they will lose their base of supporters who have been radicalized by Trumpism. So even if they deep down know that Biden won and they know what Trump is doing is wrong, they can never say it out loud, or simply they'd lose power and lose re-election, which ties back into why Mitch McConnell went out yesterday and put the middle finger up to the Constitution, because he is now grasping for power and gasping for a lifeline, because he knows that in January the Georgia Senate runoff re-election happens, and if those two seats flip blue, where Democrat Jon Ossoff is looking to beat David Perdue and Democrat Raphael Warnock is gunning to beat Kelly Loeffler, if they do that, Chuck Schumer becomes the majority leader and Mitch McConnell becomes powerless minority. And by the way, Republicans are terrified. Just look at how Ossoff destroys Perdue in the debates.
Well, perhaps Senator Perdue would have been able to respond properly to the COVID-19 pandemic if you hadn't been fending off multiple federal investigations for insider trading. It's not just that you're a crook, Senator. It's that you're attacking the health of the people that you represent. You did say COVID-19 was no deadlier than the flu. You did say there would be no significant uptick in cases. All the while, you were looking after your own assets and your own portfolio, and you did vote 4 times to end protections for pre-existing conditions.
After this, Perdue literally canceled the third debate, most likely to avoid humiliation. And then here we have Loeffler pretending not to know about the Donald Trump Access Hollywood tapes, where he brags about sexually assaulting women and getting away with it because he's famous.
And I went there to help him drain the swamp.
And you're still not disagreeing with that particular thing that President Trump said. You're still not disagreeing with that.
Sorry, what are you referring to?
You're still not disagreeing with President Trump's statements about personally sexually assaulting women.
I'm not familiar with that.
The Access Hollywood tape. He's referring to the Access.
Yeah, no, look, this president is fighting for America.
Nobody's buying it, Kelly. So perhaps these elections were overlooked because everyone was focused on the presidency, but come January, the Republicans should be very worried. A lot of stuff happening, guys. Donald Trump is still technically our president until January 21st of 2020. And if you think things are getting wild now, well, I'm betting that this is just the beginning. So buckle up for the madness. I will be right there with you guys, covering everything from all angles to keep you updated. So make sure you subscribe for daily videos, and I will continue to uncover the truth.